Welcome to episode 17 of the Business of Real Estate podcast with Lynn, Hoffmann, and Eric Johnson. Today we are talking all about coaching. What should you look for in a coach? What should you expect from a coach? And do you really need a coach? We'll answer all of that today on the Business of Real Estate podcast. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Business Real Estate Podcast. Lynn, we have a couple of great coaches here with us today. I'm going to let you introduce the first one.
Okay, everybody. I'm very pleased to have with us today Mari-Anne Gillespie. She's CEO of Red Apple Coaching. She's also a top recruiter, a top coach, and I call her the secret weapon of accountability. She was also 2023 Ironman World Champion. So she walks the talk. Mari-Anne coached me for a couple of years. I know what accountability looks like, so buckle up. Yay. You're in for a good time. But I'd also like to say she's a good friend and been a great support for me over the last few years.
What a great
welcome
intro.
Here.
Thank you for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
Excited.
And I got this written down so that I don't forget it because I don't want to leave anything out. But David Greenspan is with us, CEO and founder of Mindshare 101. And he's also a nationally recognized keynote speaker, trainer, and coach. He's helped many sales professionals and businesses improve their sales and marketing efforts. He helps bridge the gap between their online and offline marketing to achieve a higher ROI on your marketing dollars spent. And having had David at our brokerage speaking to our agents, it was amazing to me to learn some of this stuff. Very similar mindset that I have, and it was the way he presented and the way he got people engaged. It was so amazing. So David, we are so glad to have you here as well.
It's a pleasure to be here. I thank you all, and Mari-Anne, Lynn, Eric. Looking forward to what we're going to get into today.
Awesome. Well, listen, we all know that, all of us do coaching here, but, do the agents really need coaching? Really? Aren't they smart enough to do this on their own? What do you guys think?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Of course they're smart enough to do it.
Big yes, right, Mari-Anne? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
No.
Just yes. Next question.
Yeah, absolutely. They can do it on their own until they can't. No, I mean, honestly, that's is coaching, do they really need it? Not everybody does need it, to be very honest with you. I think it depends if you want to get there faster, if you want to do it with less mistakes, less errors, and if you really don't like to work all by yourself. I mean, the accountability is amazing. I think if you look at a history of top performers in any industry or even athletics or anything like that, the people who want to get there faster, top performers, they have a very big growth mindset. And not everybody has a growth mindset, so therefore not everybody will benefit from coaching. So it really depends on their journey. And so to believe it or not, to answer the question, not everybody needs a coach. However, the ones who do will get there faster, and generally those are the ones at the top.
And I would double down with that. I do agree. I mean, we would obviously put a resounding yes on all of it because that's what we both do. And we've seen successes. Well, we've seen the successes that people have had in working with us and working with colleagues of ours, Mari-Anne, people that work with you. I hear great stories about it. Eric, I know, and Lynn, there's stuff that goes on internally there. And again, people benefit. The reality is that this industry, and any industry where we are our own an entrepreneur, our own business leader, the person who's wearing many, many hats, we're typically running very solo. You might have a team, but at the end of the day, you're the one that wakes up in the morning by yourself, goes to bed at night by yourself with your business. It's nice to have somebody there. And when you believe that you're really good at what you do, and you go out and you do a great job, to have somebody who's watching you and picking apart those little pieces of you that could be improved and help you improve, and you've got the desire to be better, that's where you're growing, and that's where a coach comes in. I remember some of the first times that I was taking a stage, and I'd have this particular individual with me. I'd come off and he would tell me I did a great job and I'd feel great. And he'd say, you feel good, right? And I said, yeah. And then one day he said to me, and I won't say it as explicitly as he said it, but he said, sit the down. And I was like, whoa. And he goes, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Mm-hmm. And the next time I went up there, I would make an eye contact with him while talking to, hundreds of people. And he's sitting in the back of the room doing that with the thumbs up. And now you're realizing, okay, perfect. I just adjusted something that I was doing. Now I just got better. And so that is where a coach comes in. And as Mari-Anne said, you want to go faster, hire somebody who can help you. The best of the best have coaches, be it athletes entertainers, business people, people that want to get to that next level, have somebody there in their side.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would like to say that everybody does need a coach. I honestly believe
Yes.
everybody does need a coach. It's very important because coaches can make you feel uncomfortable in a great way. Until you get out of your comfort zone and, you know, in your happy jammies in the morning, and somebody to be accountable for, there's no growth. And without that, it just doesn't seem to work well. So I do believe you both are in a very needed profession.
Oh, I can see that for sure. I think even to add to that, just listening to some of the things that David was saying, is that, when I was on my path to become an Ironman athlete, the first thing I did in that journey is I hired 5 coaches.
Right.
So I was like, you don't even need just one coach sometimes. Sometimes you really need a lot of coaches. And so I hired 5 coaches, and there is no way I would have become the athlete and a world championship athlete with Ironman if I didn't have those coaches. Like, it's not possible. So, and you can really see that difference. So even just one coach versus 5 coaches, sometimes it's necessary.
Well, and with that, right, the power of people, the power of collaboration, just as we're doing right now on this show. You think about sharing ideas with each other, bouncing things around, agreeing or disagreeing. We're all going to come away from this, not just the audience listening to this, but the 4 of us here learning something today. And when we do look at folks that, really believe that they're very good at what they do, if they can get past the ego, maybe the over self-confidence, and not to downplay self-confidence, I think it's a very important thing. But if they could get past that and say, I'm open to learning from somebody, I'm open to hearing where I can be better, there's no chance you don't get better.
Yeah.
There's just no chance.
Yeah.
Sure.
100%.
I remember one of my sales trainers talked about, you want to try and pretend like you're the fly in the corner of the room watching things from the outside. And, that's something that a coach does. Because when you're in the middle of it, you can't see things. I used to use the example of, imagine you're on the Golden Gate Bridge and you're walking down it, and what you see is those big poles and the cables that are in front of you. You see the cars coming towards you and the people that are walking towards you. But what the coach is the person on the shoreline. And they see the entire bridge, and they see what's coming behind you and what's coming up front. And they see the entire picture that you don't see because you're in the middle of it. And so I think that's a great way to look at having that coach, is to see the things you don't see because you're in the middle of it.
Absolutely. I mean, we use an analogy of, and you guys will like this one, getting in an air balloon. Right?
A rematch on air balloon.
But seriously, right? Getting up there, looking down, right? Looking down on everything that's going on and taking a very different picture, a very different view of what you're seeing. And I think, Eric, you say great, with the analogy of the bridge. Mari-Anne, I think it's very similar to what we do. Right? We are there. We are watching. I wouldn't even say from afar. We're watching when you don't want us watching. And we're going to say the things you don't want to hear, but that you need to hear.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point.
And I think, you see the newbies that when they come into the business, they don't know what they're doing. So definitely they need that coaching, right? And then you have the more experienced agents who get to that point where they come in and they grind. And, the ones who haven't used coaching, and they get in, they grind, they hustle, they do well, and they get to a certain point, and then they plateau, right? And then they stop. And so there's a couple of different groups there, and then you have the ones that really, they're scaling, but at the same time, they don't know how to scale even bigger. So with those 3 groups in mind, I'm going to ask the 2 of you, what would your advice be to a brand new agent getting into the business, no real sales experience?
Brand new agents. Well, I use my own example. So my first year in the business, I would say right before I got licensed, I looked for the best person in the business. And I said, you know what, who's number 1? And so I went and I said pre-licensing. And I said, you know what? I said, why are you successful? How are you number 1? And he says, you know what? I have a real estate coach. And I said, okay. I said, I don't have my license yet. So I took a position on that team. And his coach, unbeknownst to me at the time, was quite a famous coach at the time called Howard Brinton. And so I said, all I want in my contract is, I said, I just want to sit and I want to listen to what this guy has to say. And I remember it was like candy. And I was just sitting in every coaching call just going, what is this magical formula that he's telling this guy, and he's listening and he's doing it, and all he's doing is listening to the coach, taking it all in, and then putting it in place, and he's so successful. And then I went to the conference on license, and I was like, it was Star Power at the time, and I was like, this is incredible. And I remember pre-license going, this is the golden ticket. This is it. And then I decided, I said I had very little money when I started my career. And I said, you know what? I had to make a very wise decision. And I said, you know what? I'm doing it. And I hired a coach right out of the gate, and I never looked back. And my first year I did 80 deals. And I was like, you know what? Best thing I ever did. So as a newbie at the time, you know, I would say it was the smartest idea I ever did. I was exposed to coaching very early, but it was like, that was like the most incredible thing. So then I sat back and I said, man, like it was just the best idea. So I would say like as a newbie, I think every level needs a coach, but I think the biggest gap that I see is new agents not investing in it. And I would say that's the smartest thing. If you have very little money, don't put it in Facebook ads and things like that. Let's get into it. Let's get a coach, or have an office that has a professional coaching service such as yours, right? So to me, that's really good, because how many times I hear people say, Eric, I hear your name all the time. So I think that's, you know, I know the return is there for the agents. So new, I would say is the biggest and best, smartest investment you can do in this industry.
David, what about you? The new.
Well, I would tell you this. I would say, first off, you know, to anybody new that's in the industry, the first piece of advice I'm going to give everybody, beyond doing anything, beyond spending $1 anywhere, is build a contact list.
Yeah.
Okay, that is like the absolute first thing I tell anybody to do, because you've got a network of people that you are not yet tapping into, that have no idea what you're up to, and that you've got to build some rapport with. Those are the people that if we start to hone your skills, build out the systems and processes, now we've got a group of people, we've got an audience we can actually talk to and leverage the skills that we learn through the coaching process to be able to actually apply and start to grow a business. You know, so step one would be a contact list. Now, why take on a coach from day one? The real estate school is not going to like when I say these things, but I've told them straight as well. Okay?
There's a real estate
They
school?
have missed the mark in a big way of
Yeah.
teaching people how to become salespeople, teaching people how to run a business, teaching people how to market that business. We can learn about how to fill out an APS. We can learn about how the legalities of the business. None of that is going to get me to the table.
No.
It's going to tell me what to do when I get to the table, to some degree. But if I don't have the sales skills, I'm still not going to be able to actually leverage any of that. So because one, I couldn't get myself there, and two, I didn't know what to do and how to handle myself when I was there, how to get over the finish line or get that deal signed. And that is very much where, again, I come in. That's where Mari-Anne comes in. That's where, you know, Eric and Lynn, what you guys are teaching people at the office there, and I know the infrastructure that's been built at your company, you know, that's where these things come in, is you get to learn and hone skills that you may have had or may not have had to begin with. And I can, again, we'll say it, the real estate school does not teach that.
No.
See, if I was able to change what they do there, somebody says they want to get licensed, great. It is Thursday at 4 o'clock. We'll see you at Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a listing presentation. Bye. And the person's going to get off the phone and go, well, what do I do? I don't even know what I'm doing. Great. Just try it. Through the power of Google and the power of AI, you'll be able to figure out how to put one together. And if you show up dressed properly and you show up on time and you look prepared, I'm not even really concerned about how good the presentation was. I just want to know that you had the skill set that is required to get the opportunities in this business. And you know what? If you do that, I'll give you the listing. Then I want to see you again on Thursday with your marketing plan. How are you going to sell my property? Now, again, if you show up on time and you show up looking proper and you show up dressed and prepared and all those things, and you come with some sort of marketing plan, you've shown me that you've got the tenacity to be in this business. And now we can take you that next step and start to hone those skills and create an actual business plan, a marketing plan, teach you sales. I'm not a big guy on scripts. I do believe that everybody we speak to is going to be a different person. Therefore, the way we speak to them, the words we use, the tonation of our body language and our inflection is going to change.
Yep.
That being said, we can start to teach these skills that will help you become a better salesperson. At the end of the day, what do? We market properties and we negotiate deals. We need to teach people that. The real estate school doesn't teach that, and that's why you want to hire a coach, because we know how to tell you that.
I really love that. There's so much, people don't respect the profession of sales the way they should. Sales is a skill, and running a business is also another
100%.
skill. The paperwork, that belongs to somebody else. As I totally agree with David on that comment. And the other thing that I tell people right off the bat, they'll put an ad, I think you said it, Mari-Anne, a Facebook ad or Facebook search, things like that.
Yep.
But they should be investing in themselves. If they invest in themselves, that's the biggest return they'll ever get. So that means talking to coaches and specialists and
Absolutely.
honing the sales skills and the business skills that they need. So
100%.
great responses.
I'm going to pull a Lynn because
What's that?
this Lynn usually goes, I wrote this down while
wrote
you were
everything
talking.
down.
And the two of you both use the word business. And I
Yes.
think that's what gets a lot of people. They don't understand this is a business. You will become a business owner.
Yes.
Right? And so when
100%.
they get in and they go, oh man, I have a job as a realtor. No, you don't. You have a business and they're business systems. And if you've never run a business, and the people that come in, because Lynn and I, in the recruiting aspect, we're meeting these people who go, have you done sales? Yes. I was a clerk at this store, or I've done, this type of thing. No, you haven't done sales. You don't know business. And so that's why you need a coach. To me, that's why a new agent really needs somebody to help them learn how to run a business. And as you said, David, right, there's the skill sets. We can teach the skill sets, but you have to understand you're running a business.
You do, and look, we all know, right here, the four of us, including ourselves, we wear a lot of hats. And when you get into this business, you're going to wear a lot of hats. So being able to understand what those hats are, have the systems and the processes in place to be able to not pull your hair out and give up too quickly, because it is a business where you're hunting all day. And if you're not hunting, you're not eating.
That's right.
So now it's a matter of, well, how do I hunt and then maintain what I've got and then deal with my active clients and then do the prospecting and then, be the family person, all that other stuff. It's like, how do you do it? Well, this is again where we come in and we'll teach these processes, these systems to be able to help you actually have success in it. I think that Lynn, you mentioned about the Facebook ads. I truly believe that social media, and first off, I'd like to say it very publicly, I want to find the plug for social media and just unplug it. I think if we could get people back to being people and talking with people, it would be a great thing. But I come back to this side of things and say, the pomp and circumstance which has developed over social media about our industry over the past number of years, unfortunately, the amplified message through social has put a negative tone on it. And I believe that if we're over advertising how much over asking we've sold something for, although there's something nice about that for our clients, it says to the consumer, hey, we make a lot of money. The less connected we are with people, the more we put technology in between us and the people around us, the more we leverage automation and automated marketing plans. And don't get me wrong, there's a place for all of this stuff. In fact, I just did my show on some of this stuff recently. That said, if we're going to disconnect ourselves from people, it's going to be tougher to have success. And again, the social medias have amplified that part of it. And I think just for everybody, in order to remain relevant and really succeed in real estate, you've got to remember it is a people business.
It's funny, we just
we
did
just
last
had-
week's episode.
We just had Conrad on, and we were just talking about all of this. So it'll be nice when they run concurrently and it'll pick it up, because it's a people business. It's all about interacting with people, and a bit old school. Yeah.
Old
But
school.
I have a challenge for all of you guys, though. So we can say that it was a business, okay? So we can say, you know what? You get into real estate, and it's a business. This is a business. But let's be fair. I would say there's a large portion that, to be a business owner, to run things like a business is not everybody's cup of tea. And I would say there is a substantially large amount of people that come into coaching and they don't really care if it's a business or not. They want the revenue, and that's it.
Yep.
And they're like, and so I think there's a space personally where you're looking and you're saying, what about group of people who are like, okay, I understand. You want to run a business and I get that, but I actually just want to sell and I just want to sell. And I really don't care that it's a business or not. And I don't really want to join a team maybe or not, but I just want to make a ton of money. And I'm really not that concerned about it being a business. There is a lot of that in the industry, like a ton of that in the industry. So, you know, I think also there is that environment where do you coach people that come to you, and David can answer this, you guys can answer this. What do you do with that agent that says, not really interested in operating a business, I'm in it for the money? And that is it. And I like the money that real estate pays, I like the sales aspect of it, but I have no desire to run it as a business. Because I think there's a lot of people like that.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, I'm that guy.
Yep.
I see it from the stage all the time. I just want to make $1 bajillion. Mm-hmm. Problem is, when I was first told by the first coach and the first speaker that ever talked to me, you got to write it down and create goals and have a plan for it, I never did it. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, I don't have $1 bajillion. Now, one thing I did learn very quickly on this path to, the one thing I learned very quickly on this path towards building Kits, our marketing business, and building Mindshare, the coaching consulting business, was very much, Dave, if you want all this money, buddy, you better learn how to run a business.
Yeah.
And Mari-Anne, you're bang on. There's some people that are just literally all about the money. They got zero idea what it is that they need to be doing in order to get there. And that, again, is where I would say that this is, I know for myself and Mari-Anne, I make the assumption for you as well, this is where we come in.
Yep.
Is we teach you how to get to that path to money. Well, you and I both know, and Eric and Lynn, you know too, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will know, you've got to have structure in order to get to where you want to go. Yes. Now, that could be, you still don't want to do it? Great. Let's figure out the roles and responsibilities. Let's figure out what you love to do, what you hate to do, what you just don't want to do. Let's figure out how to bring in some infrastructure around you in people power and help you achieve those things. And at that point, what's happening? You're building a business. Exactly. So if you're in this one, unless you're making milkshakes at McDonald's, okay, which is not going to take you to your path to riches that you want, at least my assumption here. If you're, not working for somebody, but you are in there for yourself, and as a realtor you are, there is an aspect somehow that you've got to build up something. There's got to be infrastructure to get to that money.
Yeah, there has to be. One of our other guests said to me and to Eric, if they come for the money, they leave sort of because of the money.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And that's an interesting statement because a lot of people want all those riches and want all that, and they may get a little bit toward that, but if they don't have the infrastructure, if they don't have the plan, if they don't have the coaching, it will leave faster than they can even imagine.
Yep.
So just to tell David and our viewers, Mari-Anne, I asked Mari-Anne I can't believe I did this, I asked to be accountable, and I hired Mari-Anne as my coach to help me with recruiting. And so to help me, as a broker.
You did finish number one, but
I did finish number one, and to that point as well, we also, we're number 2 in net gain growth for RE/MAX and so forth. But I literally doubled the number of recruits I did in 1 year, as well as doing my regular job within the company and so forth. But I couldn't have done it without a coach, and I couldn't have done it without Mari-Anne. She was extremely patient with me, but she pulled all those things, just like you said, David. She just pulled all those things together for me. So it really does work.
It does.
Then I'm going to ask, where were you in terms of rankings prior to working with Mari-Anne?
So I'm not a selling agent. So when you're talking about rankings, I am a broker manager and Halton regional manager for RE/MAX Escarpment. And I was bringing in about 18 to 22 people a year for the brokerage. And recruiting is something that's so important to any business. It's like sales for an agent. But when Mari-Anne finished with me that year, I did about 56. I think I was at 56 or 58. It was
like screaming. I'm like, yeah.
It was like a crazy ride. And now the goal is I have to keep that mark up or do better. But and if I can do that, anybody can do that.
Here's why I asked that though. How is that in comparison to kind of what the averages look like? Because I know at your brokerage, you guys really kick ass in a positive way at bringing people in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a stab at saying, Lynn, you were already doing fairly well with your numbers.
Yeah.
Mari-Anne just helped you blow it out of the water.
She did, for sure.
Okay. And my point to that is, again, and kudos to you, Mari-Anne, for the great work, and Lynn for putting in the effort to actually get there. But it comes back to what we said a few minutes ago. Even the people who are amazing at what they do already go and bring on somebody to help them become even more amazing.
Better, yeah.
Oh, you must be a coach.
Yeah.
Like you're
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 smooth.
lining this right up. Like I love it. I love it.
But everybody needs to hear this.
They do.
You know, they need to hear this. They need to understand. They'll say, "Well, I'm doing good. I was doing okay." You're right.
That was the point I was trying to get.
Nobody was pushing me. My broker of record, Con Mazzarini, was not pushing me. He was not pressuring me. I wanted a coach because I felt that I could do better. And
you did.
And I did do better.
And you did.
And I think everybody's that same way. So you have to invest in yourself as an agent to do better.
You always look at, like, I always talk about this, and I was doing a session this morning for a brokerage, and I was talking about this, and when I go speaking, I talk about this all the time. I say, you know, you have one life. And in my life, I've experienced just way too much death and loss. And I look at that, and what that taught me at a very young age. At a very young age, it taught me I was living on my own. I was homeless. It was just a teenager. And I had no authority figure telling me that there was a ceiling, that I could or could not do anything. Mm-hmm. And so what I learned equally at the same time is I learned that, first of all, life is short. I learned that very young, that every day is a gift. But then I also learned that if you have no ceiling above you and nobody is telling you that you can or cannot do something, then you can do really remarkable things regardless of your circumstances. Yep. So I think, you know, my rush, and sort of a theme I hear with David, with Eric, with Lynn, with everybody that is at this table, is also that, you know, wherever you are, you can do anything. Yeah. And I think that's the other thing, is you don't have to be a mega superstar. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be number one. And that's the thing that I think is always often missed too in coaching, is that we seem to think that if you want to be a top performer, you have to also have a coach. And it's like, no, you have one life, and if you want to really see what you're capable of, you get one trip around, and that's it. And you know what? Why not have somebody that's pulling the best of the best of the best out of you, and say, like, let's see what you got in this world. Like, let's see every potential that you've got. You don't have to be number one. You don't have to make millions of dollars. But man, like, what a journey this could be. And to have somebody believe in you so much and pull out the best of you, and let's see what you can become, so you have no regrets when this is over.
Maximize your potential.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Maximize your potential. So, you know what was interesting when Lynn was talking there, and because I already wanted to go here with you, but she used the key word. Because the key thing that I hear about you all the time is, Mari-Anne, like, she said your superpower is accountability.
Very much so.
Right? And I think that's, you know, David was talking about, you can have all the knowledge.
100%.
You can get all of it. We know what to do.
Yep.
Most of the experienced agents know what they should do.
100%.
But they don't. And so when you're sitting there and you're going, man, you know, I know I should make these calls. Yeah. I know I should do this. I know I should do that. But you don't. And I say to everybody all the time, I said, number one, if you don't have a schedule, if you don't schedule it out, you're at the mercy of your emotions and your energy. I say that all the time. And when my energy is low, and I'm just not there, I need somebody to give me that kick in the ass.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit, because that's your superpower.
It is.
Let's talk about accountability, and how important is that for somebody to have somebody external? Because like, I go to the gym every day pretty much, but there's some people that won't go unless they have a trainer waiting for them, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to, accountability is my superpower, and there's no doubt that is. But it's called the Velvet Hammer. So I'm the Velvet Hammer. And so it's like,
I like that.
Yeah, it's the Velvet Hammer. That's what I'm known for.
I think she left the velvet.
Yeah, sometimes I take the velvet like right off, and I'm like, just take the friggin' hammer. I mean, I will say, I did show up like and shock the living pants off of a lot of clients stay at their offices, and I'm like texting them, where the F are you? And I'm taking pictures at their desks, and I'm like, come on, like, where are you? I've been known to show up at restaurants when my coaching clients should be lead generating, and their assistants tell me where they're eating, and I'll show up there and be like, what's going on? So I have I am on it like nothing. I look at, accountability is it's that thing that says, look, you know what, we got to break through habits, barriers, everything. But what I do the best is I take, I think because of my history of what I've accomplished and how I've pushed myself through everything, there is no excuse that I buy into. Yeah. So it's like, if you hire a coach and you say to the coach, and this is a true value that I believe in coaching, is that you can have many variants of coaches. Nobody at this table has what I'm about to say. Those coaches that you hire, And they're not doing it to see you get to the finish line. Like, they're not willing to lose you as a client and say, look, you hired me to take you here, and you're not doing the work, and I'm holding you accountable, so you're fired, you're gone, you're out. And you have to, as a coach, be willing to say, you know, if we are on this journey together, like if Lynn said, hey, I want to get to this location, like I took what Lynn said incredibly serious. And I was like, she had a journey, she had a destination, and she had a value behind why she wanted to get there. And when I connected with that as a coach, I was like, okay, we understand, it's going to be tough. There's going to be times that, you know, it's going to be very tough, and we're going to have a conversation. There's times we're going to high five each other. But at the end of the day, if you're not committed to getting there, the relationship is done. Mm-hmm. It's done. And we have to be honest about that, to say, like, it won't get there. I'll smell it, she'll smell it, and it's done. I just don't want to take a check for something that, you know, that I'm not willing. I'll go, you know, coach somebody else. And I think that's where accountability becomes real with a coach, is lots of coaches will say they'll hold you accountable, but you've got to be able to say, I'm willing to walk away. Because if you truly don't want this, why would I want it more than you? Why would I want that more than you? If we're on this journey, you're doing it. And that whole idea of saying, there's no excuse that's going to fly, I'm on you all the time, I will push to the point where you will either quit because you are not committed to that goal, or we are getting to that goal and we are going to have a great journey. So one way or another.
That's
You
awesome.
asked David the same question.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to this.
David's
listen,
just shaking his
Same
head the whole
question.
time.
Yeah, no, I love what she's saying, and I agree with it. I mean, you know how many times we've said to people, like, you actually go through your sort of like explore call with somebody who's interested in working with you. They want to get started. You start to talk to them, you realize this ain't gonna work.
Yep.
I'll cut them off before we even get started. Look, I've got to spend time with you as well. And just like Mari-Anne just said, if you tell me you want to get somewhere, you better get in the car. We're going. Like, don't tell me you want to go there and then tell me I don't want to go. We're going.
That's what
Don't, like, buckle up. And if we realize that you don't want to
Buckle up,
buckle up and you don't want to do it, get out. Because I'm going.
Yeah.
Right? I might even go there without you now because you told me about it. Sounds great. I'm going to go do it. And I think for people, when they start to see that,
Yeah.
it really does hit home, because it says, well, hey, this guy believes, or this lady, these people believe that this is actually possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if they believe it and they see the path towards it, maybe I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone, it starts to empower them. You know, look, Mari-Anne, I don't know you crazy well whatsoever, but I know with all the biathlons and Ironmans and triathlons that you do, like, you know, you're conquering some amazing stuff that, no joke, I ain't going there. All right, like, I'm not gonna
What?
run however many kilometers you're doing.
We'll talk later.
Listen, I'm not
He's
saying
a
I
surfer,
can't.
you know that, right?
I
My
surf.
point is
He's a
this.
coach surfer.
No, understand this though. I'm at the gym
I know
every
you're
single
not.
day. I know.
I know.
I'm at the gym every single day. I'm at sports with my son, and I coach, you know, hockey and baseball as well. And I'm at sports with him at regular. I'm going to my own hockey tonight.
Yeah.
I enjoy life. Okay, I've got a nice Harley in the garage, and I spend a lot of time riding. I spend a lot of time with my two children. We've got two businesses that we run, and the only way we do that is, again, by holding ourselves accountable. And the only way we were able to hold ourselves accountable was to learn from somebody else who held us accountable. And then to continue to learn and develop and feed our brain on a regular basis to understand what are the best of the best doing. And I'm not talking just the best realtors. I'm not talking just the best business people. I'm talking the best of the best, whatever that means to you. It could be, again, actors, entertainers, musicians, business people, athletes, you name it.
Yeah.
They got there because somebody held them accountable. Then they figured out how to actually run with the accountability because it's working.
Yeah.
And by being accountable not only to somebody, but even more importantly to that person in the mirror, that's how you get where you want to go. I hear it all the time from people. Oh, I know, I didn't do it. And you're like, why? Well, I really don't know. But you know, if you did it, it would help you, right? They're like, yeah, I know. Like, oh, so what stopped you? Well, and what's happening? There's fear. There's procrastination. One of you just said the word excuses. A lot of people, when they say an excuse, we hear it as an excuse. They believe it's a reason.
Yes.
Well, I'm very clear on that. Most of your reasons are just excuses. What you're doing is you're telling people why you can't.
Yeah.
And one thing I've told my kids since the day they were born, in fact, I said it to my son when the day he was born. And my wife looked at me, Jen, she's like, you know, he doesn't understand you. I'm like, oh, he will. And the words are, you can do it.
Yeah.
I believe anything in this world is possible. Have you guys watched the movie Free Solo with Alex Honnold?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I'm
Gotta
not going
look
to
it
tell
up
you.
now.
Freestyle.
Write that
I
down.
gotta, just watch it. Let me tell you.
We're
that
gonna watch it tonight.
I was going to say I sat. I did not sit. I stood. No. I paced in my living room for 90 minutes while I watched this.
Wow.
Stomach in my throat.
Free solo.
Anything you want is possible when you put your mind to it.
So I'm just gonna drop this down, David. Wait a second. You keep saying the slogan, anything is possible. I'd like to tell you that I think secretly you're calling it to do an Ironman because that's the slogan for Ironman. Anything is possible.
No joke. I'm
No
telling
joke.
you, like if I wanted to
signing
take
you
the
up.
time, if I wanted to take the time, make the time, okay, make it, not just make the time to put my dedication into that, yes, I believe I could do it. I keep saying it. You're absolutely right. Anything is possible.
That's a slogan.
Now,
There you
it
go.
is about time. And I had somebody the other day, he says, your son told me you don't take him golfing. Do you golf? I'm like, I can golf. He goes, do you go golfing? I'm like, no. He's like, man, don't you know where business gets done? I'm like, oh, so wait a second. You telling me you should go golfing more? He said, yeah. I said, look, I get invited like weekly, like multiple times a week to go golfing. So if I'm going to spend 4 or 5, 6 hours on a golf course 3 or 4 times a week, there's a lot of things falling by the wayside. Now it comes back to, how are you empowering time to manage you?
That's right.
See, I get more done in a day than most people do in a week. Not because I'm better or smarter, just because I'm very organized. And now when it comes to accountability, I'm very accountable to not only my mentors and coaches, but to myself as well, because I got things I want to achieve. And Mari-Anne, if it was an Ironman, I would put it on the goals. I'd break it down to know exactly what I have to do every single day. I'd lean on you to tell me, Dave, do these things every single day. And I'm telling you, when I do them, I know for sure when I do them, and it's scary as shit right now, like to think about what you do with those things. Like I'm going, oh my God. But if I learned from you and I applied it, I could do it.
Absolutely.
It's like that for anything in life.
Yeah. I think something you just said there, people give themselves permission to fail. They talk themselves out of what they can do because they just give themselves permission not to do it, and then nobody holds them accountable. So I've been coaching one method of teaching for 17 years, and it's a little different when you're coaching as a broker manager because I want to hold them accountable, but there's only so much I can do with that, right? Because they know they're not paying me, and it's free time. But it's really been interesting over the years watching how well they do if they do apply themselves. And now what I do is I track their income before they start the program and track their income 90 days after they finish the program. And there's always a real high spike, but they always drop down and then don't continue again unless they get back on the train and come back for more training and more coaching. So it's like exercising. It's like anything else. You have to keep repeating the same things every day to stay up with what you do.
100%.
You know, it's interesting, Lynn, you say the word fail, and I just want to acknowledge right now for everybody tuned in, it is okay to fail.
Oh,
it
yes.
means you tried. And the path towards success is loaded with failure.
Absolutely.
In fact, it's like a try, fail, learn. Try, fail, learn. The more we try, the more we fail, the more we learn. Next thing I know, I'm getting closer to what I actually want in life. And you know, I've argued this from the stage. What was Albert Einstein's line there? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Exactly.
Interesting, though, how when we are consistent with what we do, we learn from what we did yesterday, we make it a little better today, we actually do get the results we're looking for. Consistency
Interesting.
is
I had
that
a
magic
coach.
ingredient.
I had a coach
Exciting.
use that same line, and he said, "But that's what practice is.
Right.
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a slightly different result." He goes,
Yep.
That's not insanity. That's practice."
I honestly, I was
practice.
gonna say the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, Albert Einstein.
Hey,
was
we didn't all
little-
learn to walk the first day or ride a bike or swim the first day.
Exactly.
When I was saying permission to fail, though, I'm a firm believer you fail your way to success. What I mean is people give up before they've even tried by that.
Yeah.
And that's the part
It's
I don't
heartbreaking.
like. That is the heartbreaking part.
Yeah.
I used to say this for the kids, I can't want for you more than you want for yourself.
100%.
So you have to show up and get in the game.
Yeah.
So I have a question for the two of you. So putting you on the spot here.
Start with David.
Okay, we'll start with David.
That was
So-
sneaky.
I know, right? I know.
So let's say we these agents decide they want to coach. So I was gonna say, what should they ask? What should they be asking in when they're selecting a coach?
I think the process, much like myself, I come in with a few questions that I want to ask. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to provoke you to share. And as you share, I'm going to probe sales skills, active listening. I'm going to dig deeper. I want to understand. I think that for, people coming in, what I've experienced at least is some of the common questions are, so how does the program work? And I think that what people need to be thinking about is, what does success look like? What would I define as success after I spend this time and make this investment in myself? What would I define success as? And some people might just break it down to a very monetary value. I think that's cutting yourself short. I really do. I think that you got to look at the bigger picture of life. Life is not just about the money. If we ask a series of people, and I think, Eric, we did this when we were at the office at some point, but I asked everybody, so what do you want as goals? And everybody told me about their GCI. And so I said, okay, let's fast forward to your last day on this earth, your last breath. What do you want at that moment? They all said time. I said, great, there's the crystal ball. You know what you want more of. So let's make money just one of the things we want to achieve, but let's figure out how to do more with our time.
Yep.
And so again, I think that one of the biggest questions people really need to ask, and it may not even be directly asking the coach, because I'm not necessarily going to have that answer for you until I start working with you in that journey. Because like Mari-Anne and I both said, if you're not doing the work, you're not going to get to where you want to go. And quite frankly, at some point, we're going to realize that you're wasting both of our times. So what people need to be asking themselves first is, what does success look like to me? What do I think I expect from the journey? What do I want? And as they can define that, they can more clearly define what it is they're looking for. And then myself, and I know Mari-Anne and any of the other, coaches that are available out there that really do care and do a good job, will be able to help you actually get there. Mm-hmm. But if you can't clearly define it, it's going to take a longer period of time to try to unearth it. So that would be one of the first questions I'd be asking. And it's not even to the coach. Because most of the time, a lot of the questions are very similar. What does it look like? So what's involved? But you gotta know what your expectations are.
Yep. So now it's to you.
I'm tactical, right? So I'm gonna I like David's answer. I'm this is such a, it's such a loaded question for me, because I feel like the coaching industry right now is getting inundated with unsuccessful realtors becoming coaches, or it's driving me nuts, or they're using coaching as a venue to recruit to teams. And I'm going, wait a second, everybody's a coach. And I feel like for myself, I think there's 3 questions that I think if you're really looking for a coach, mm-hmm. and you've got money and you're investing in it, I think there's some key things, 3 key things that I personally say look out for, ask those questions. And the first one I always say is, how many billable coaching hours do you have? And that is bar none. I don't care what it is, you need to ask that question. And if a coach can't answer that question, and you really have it's your last, let's say you have $5,000, that's all you have. Ask the question, how many billable coaching hours do you have? That really fleshes out a level of a coach, because you might be interviewing 3 different coaches and they're all the same price. And you might be like, okay, who is going to get me there? And you have to ask that question, because a coach who has, let's say, it's not that one is better than the other per se, it's the journey. So it's if you have a coach and you're that coach only has, let's say, 10 billable coaching hours, and then you have another coach with 1,000, and you have another with 20,000. And you're looking and you're going, okay, where do I need to be? You need to make that decision. You're going to have you should get more from that coach who has less billable coaching hours, because they're going to take longer on the calls and things like that to get you there. So it's really about that. You have to flesh out experience. Second thing I would suggest is that, you have to, again, you have to vet the coach. There are many with social media. David said something earlier of unplugging social media. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I like to say about that is that when I look at social media, the number one thing that I look at, which frustrates me, is how many people believe that you'll see something with somebody on social media going, congratulations to my coaching client, they just did 12 sales in 1 month, whoop, whoop. And you'll see that, and I'll be like, well, why aren't you tagging the person? Where is this person? Wouldn't you tag the individual? If there's no social proof of the individual even existing, you need to not fall for that, because that is happening a lot right now when you're looking and seeking out. Is we're seeing it a lot. I have a coaching client who's got 12 transactions this month, and you're going, Okay, well, where are they? And tag them. And, and we'll sometimes bug the person and say, tag the individual. Like, where are they? Like, if you really have the social proof, you should see the actual client so you can go to that person and say, what's their style? Can you tell me a little bit about it? And I'd say the third thing is that is this the person's full-time position? Is this their full-time gig, or is this something that we're seeing in the industry right now, which is a supplementary income, or they're just grasping at it? Is like coaching is a serious, it is just what we talked about from the beginning. If we are going to say agents need to build skills and levels and things like that, then I have to say, if it's not a full-time gig as a coach, then are they building skills? How are they getting better? If they're not 100% vested in this, it's no different than having a part-time real estate agent. It's no different. And it's like, so why would you want a part-time coach or somebody who's running an entire different business and they're like, I'm taking 2 or 3 coaching clients on? And it's like, well, wait a second. If you were going to list my house and you said you were working at Red Lobster, and I'm just thinking seafood right now. I don't know why, but anyway, I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking shrimp. Anyway, so lobster. But if you're working full time at Red Lobster as the manager there, and you're like, but I'm taking 3 real estate coaching clients on the side, it would be like, and I'm going to list your house. Like, I'm full time Red Lobster, and but I sell houses too. Like, there is a crossover where you have to say, what are you actually getting yourself into? It is a serious business, and in this market, the skill level for coaches has to be substantially high, regardless of everything. David invests in himself. I invest in myself. We see each other at the events. We have our own coaches coaching us. You guys are the same thing, and it's like we take this highly serious, and we're always looking to elevate our skills in the industry. We're not in it for the riches of the industry. We are in it because we truly are vested in this as business owners, but also we would expect nothing less from the realtors. So I think those are my 3 elements that I kind of say, if you're looking for a coach, be really cautious and make that decision, because the wrong coach can also be a very bad experience for an agent, unfortunately.
Yep.
I got to add on to one thing there, because you brought up the social, which I brought up, and you said about, vet like who they posted about. Again, with social media, don't believe everything you see.
Nope.
You'll see people with tens of thousands of followers that think, oh my God, Miss is popular. Look, everybody loves them. Do they?
Do they really?
Are they real? Social media and the internet have a great way of creating a farce on a lot of things out there. And it is important that, just like success in the game of real estate, repeat and referral is important.
Yep.
And when you can lean on people that that may have an insight into a particular coach, a particular solution for you, ask about it. This is part of learning. This is part of self-development. Find out, is that going to jive with you?
Awesome. Well, listen, we are just about out of time. So before we run out of time,
wait, me and Mari-Anne have so much more to say.
I know.
Keep talking.
I know. We could go on and on and on. But I want to give you each one last thing.
Start with David.
No, you start this time.
It's Mari-Anne. She's starting here. One last thing. So just final words about coaching. What would you like to say to the people out there?
I'm still thinking Red Lobster. So anyway, what would I like to say about coaching?
Whatever. You get one last thing about coaching.
Okay. Well, I'm going to milk this one. No, I would like to say, I think the thing about coaching in general right now is that the journey, we touched on this a little earlier, the journey is lonely. As an entrepreneur, the journey's lonely. It is tough. There are days where I see some of the best agents in the industry, getting dealt cards that I don't know. They're just like, instead of coaching right now, can you just let me vent? Let me just have that support system. Let me just have that. And I think a lot of us, like Lynn said, give up before we've actually seen, even seen any success or even started. And it's like, so I really think if you're going to get into real estate and you're going to be looking at succeeding, I think the coaching route is such a smart investment. But I also think it's, again, going back to what I said earlier, you have to believe in yourself. You have to give yourself the best damn chance in this world. It's like, it is a tough as nails industry. It is not going to get easier in the next year or 2 years. Those easy years are done. They're done. They're gone, finished. So, but it can be the freedom, like the reason we choose real estate is because we want freedom. And you don't have to sacrifice freedom when you have somebody who's showing you how to build a great business, hold yourself accountable, and everything you possibly could want in your life, everything you could want in your life can happen in real estate. It's a beautiful career. It's a beautiful business that you can own, and it truly needs to get back to that excitement of, instead of looking at it and going, oh, everybody's not succeeding. Get a coach. Live it and like let your wildest dreams come true and have that champion in your background. I could never be where I am today without the support of coaches in every aspect of my life, whether it's, anything in my life. Actually, I have multiple. I invest 6 figures a year in coaching myself. And I spend 6 figures a year on coaches for me. And if I didn't have them in my life, I don't know. Like on those days where I am on my knees crying because I'm going, this was a really hard blow. It is so good to know that I can text my coach, I can pick up a phone, and my coach is like, hey, you know what? Let's talk through this. Let's work through this. And having that alone is something that I never feel like I'm alone. I feel like I can do anything with the support of the coaches in my world, and I think that's probably my favorite thing about the industry. So I want people to love real estate, and I want people to love coaching, and I want them to live their dreams and not feel like it's for the highest producers. It's for everybody, so you can get the freedom you want. Beat that, David.
Yeah, that's...
Beat that.
You know what? I will say this. I'll say this. That was so well said, because I was a regional director with B&I Business Networking International, and bringing business owners together to network and do referrals. And that was one of the things we always talked about was, as a business owner, you can't vent to your employees.
Nope.
And so to be able to have a group where people can share and vent, and that, and that's so true. It's like coaching gives you that person. We know it's going to be confidential. We'll keep that stuff confidential. But you need somebody to share that with. Yeah. It's so 100%. True. That was amazing.
Thank you.
So that's a tough one, David, to beat. I'm sorry, man.
Look, I believe we're all winning. I would say
yes, we are.
Coaches see something that you won't see. They see what you don't. They say the things, and I said this earlier, that you may not want to hear, but you need to hear. And, all of us sitting around this table have all experienced, what it's like to work with somebody who's there for you, who holds you accountable, who presses buttons that you don't like being pressed. You come out of it a very different person. And I do believe that there's a misconception around, I guess within our industry specifically around, again, coming back, I just want to make money. I don't need anybody. Like, I don't need to run a business. I don't need a coach. I don't need any of this stuff. I just want to go out and make money. And the quickest path to doing that is doing it. You want to go somewhere, go together, right? That's how you get there faster. And this is where, again, it's, the message might be, or very much is, drop your guard on that. Take the step. Whether it's with myself, it's with Mari-Anne, it's somebody else that you jive even better with. Really figure out if you can find a connection with that individual. Because when you've got somebody in your corner that's constantly looking at what you're doing, how you're doing, and how you can be better, and truly, truly cares as much as you do about you, I mean, that's a winning combination. It's hard to lose at that point, because on your days where you are down and you are not feeling it and you want to vent or you want to cry, and you guys just said it, you can't say it to your employees. Sometimes you don't want to say it to your best friends or your colleagues. You don't want to drop that guard. It's an ego play. When you've got somebody that you've essentially hired, you are paying money to listen to these problems, to help you with these problems, you feel like you have that avenue, that channel, that outlet to be able to do that with. And I know for myself, my coaching clients have direct access to me 24/7 through a text message channel. They can ask me anything. They can vent to me when they need to. They can tell me about a big win that they had. They can ask for advice. I'm right there. And that's beyond the phone calls and the resource centers and everything else that we offer as value. Why? Because I find it important to be able to be an open line for them, that when they need something, we're available to help. And when you can, again, find somebody that you connect with that is going to be able to be that person for you, how can you not believe that you're going to win, right? It's 1 + 1 = 2. It's just a recipe for success. So drop your guard. Don't think that you know it all. don't think that whether you've been in the business 25, 30 years, there's still something you can learn. And I would argue that at 25, 30 years, in some cases, social and video and the online games and automation, a lot of this stuff can be taught. When you're brand new, you come in knowing all the social and the video because you grew up in this world, but you may not understand business. You may not understand how to, sales skills and marketing skills. There's always more to learn. And if you are that closed off to think that you know it all, that you've got nothing else to learn, hey, good luck to you. But I'll tell you, you're going to finish behind all of the people that are making themselves better and taking the time to invest. And so again, we come from the background of how much learning we've done. I know for myself, I read a ton of books. I study a ton. I listen, I mentor, I take it in because I want to be a better version of me for me, a better version of me for my family, for my kids, my wife, a better version of me for my clients that I'm so grateful to work with. And I also believe that, again, in this case, when you're looking for somebody, look for somebody that you can really discuss, you can really talk to, that you really feel like you've got a connection with. In all the studies that we did prior to opening up the company, the one thing that we learned was most of the time, what you get is you get a 20 or 30-minute phone call. There's a 20-question checklist. Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Hey, you're great. Go. See you next time. We know that that's not the way it is. I mean, Mari-Anne, I think you said it earlier on there. Like, there are times where, I'm like, hey, did you do, ABC? And they're like, and you start digging and probing, like, why? And all of a sudden somebody's like, my wife and I are getting separated. And it's like, whoa, can of worms right there. I got to help you deal with that. I've got to help you work through that. Or it could be the simplicities of like, I was trying to put something up on Facebook and I couldn't figure out how to do it. I got to help you with that too. Again, this is where we come in, right? Is helping you hone those skills, helping you deal with problems, helping be your cheerleader. I mean, it is very empowering to know that you got people there on your side that you call your team. And that's what we look at it as. We're joining your team. It's very, very powerful when you've got somebody on your team that's going to constantly be there to, beat you down or lift you up, right? In those moments of need.
Awesome. Yeah,
Thank
well
you.
said.
Thank you.
So, Lynn, last words from you.
Well, I heard a lot of great things today, and I hope everybody in the audience did. David said, feed your brain. And I think that's very important. Feed your brain. You can do whatever you want as long as you put in the time and the effort and talk to one of these amazing coaches.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
And congrats to everybody, because tuning into this podcast right now, you are feeding your brain.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We all are.
I love it.
Yes. And you know what? I'm going to add something in terms of what to ask or what to look for in a coach. And if you haven't noticed already throughout the entire podcast, is that these two are so passionate about what they do.
Yes.
And so look for that person who is so passionate that is, that's what I love about these two, is that they're in your corner. They're fighting for you, and they're there to push you to succeed. And it's not about their gain, it's about your gain. Okay? So I want to thank both of them for being on the podcast today. This has been so amazing and so good to have you two here. We are so appreciative. We are going to put their contact information, website information in the details underneath the video on YouTube. So if you want to get their details, make sure you go check us out on YouTube. But we are also available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Samsung Music, Amazon Music, all your favorite podcast channels. We thank you again for joining us this week on the Business of Real Estate, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.